And what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It is your boy Cheap Ludes, and I'm back with another video for you guys. So today we're going to be counting down the top 10 cards under 100k that you can buy right now in NBA 2K22, my team. So I just dropped one of these videos last week, and just for a little explanation on the series before we get started, I plan on doing these top 10 under 100k, top 10 budget card rankings after A, every couple weeks, or B, after every massive market crash. And we saw a doozy of a market crash. So, with that being said, you guys know the drill. 4 honorable mentions, 10 total cards. So, let's get started. Now, the honorable mentions, the first one anyway, is going to be a 3-person honorable mention. And that is 3 different quote unquote budget point guards under 50k. The first one being John Stockton, NBA 75 John Stockton specifically, because he's even cheaper than the regular one. John Stockton is actually significantly better than you would expect, especially if you're over on next gen. On current gen, he's he's okay. But on next gen, being that he has Hall of Fame dimer, Hall of Fame pickpocket, clamps, and floor general, in addition to a good stable of gold badges, like this card can actually, he has limitless spot up, chef. If you're a 300, like John Stockton's really, really solid. The one thing I will say though is he's not the greatest in regards to dribble moves or just movement in general. He is a little slow. He is a little sluggish. Which is weird because he has like very high speed, I believe. But you don't feel it with John Stockton. He has 96 speed, but he feels so much slower than that on both gens. He's not the greatest dribbler either, but he's got an easy to time jump shot. He is lethal on the defensive end. He deserves to be at least in the honorable mention, I would say. Next up would be another honorable mention, another NBA 75 guy, which is Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd has a super slow jump shot, but every other facet of his game is solid. He's also a great defender. He's 6'4", so he's got the size to really hold it down as well. He can shoot. He's not a dunker. He does have Hall of Fame clamps, dimer, giant slayer, bullet passer, floor general, and menace. I would say in certain regards, he's better than John Stockton. Other regards, he's not. And then one of my favorite cards in the game, Trae Young. Trae Young's really cheap. All of these guys are under 50k for the most part. For some reason, Trae's kind of gone up in price, but he's still like 40k. He's worthwhile, especially on current gen. I think he's the best out of these 3 on current gen. At least that's my opinion. Jason Kidd's actually probably close to. John Stockton's the only one I don't 100% recommend on current gen. Trae's decent on next gen too, especially if you're someone who shoots leaners. He's got one of the better leaners in the game. He's overall super solid. I've talked enough about Trae Young where I don't really need to go into too much detail. So, other honorable mentions. This guy, I think, is definitely going to be outclassed relatively soon because we're getting to the point where guards are going to be able to do a little bit of everything, but I think Jaylen Brown deserves to be here. Signature Jaylen Brown is still one of the best 3-and-D cards in the game, and you can find some that are relatively badged up because a lot of people did use this card pretty frequently. This one having 32 golds, solid, but you can get a relatively cheap Jaylen Brown for around 40k. That's just kind of standard after the huge market crash that we saw. I recommend getting the one, although I don't think the player model even changes. If one of the player models had a flat top, I would recommend that one strictly based off the hairstyle, but I think they both kind of look the same in game. Another thing that 2K I wish they would just do better, like I've talked about this for a while, I wish they're going to release 15 different LeBrons this year, right? And like multiple versions of different players. I would at least like the player model itself to be reminiscent of the card art. You know what I mean? So if we get like a Miami Heat LeBron, he'd be like stockier and he'd move a little bit different. You know what I mean? Than the kind of lean, faster Cleveland Cavaliers LeBron. Stuff like that. Different hairstyles, different body types, etc. would be what I would wish. But Jaylen Brown's altogether just a really solid 3-and-D cone. Next up, honorable mention would be Grant Hill, and to a certain extent, Jamal Mashburn as well. I'd put them both here in the honorable mention because they're both very similar cards. If you're looking for one to play a power forward, I would say Jamal Mashburn. If you're looking for more of a small forward, I would go Grant Hill. Now, he's another card that's going to be outdated relatively soon because we are starting to get so many small forward, power forward combos that are really, really good. If you could play the 2-guard, I think you'd have more longevity. Grant Hill's still really solid overall, and most of the ones you're going to find are going to have shoes. They're going to have badge editions because he's a card that everybody used. I would also throw Nicholas Batum right here, I guess, but I've talked about that card too much. The final... man, this is my boy, dude. Moses Malone. NBA 75 Moses Malone is definitely the one I would recommend. I still use the NBA Primetime one, but that's just because I'm cheap. If you're on next gen, Moses Malone is actually incredibly useful. I would say he's not the greatest card on current gen. So if you're on current gen, I don't think it's worth spending 75K on Moses Malone. But if you're on next gen and you have some extra badges of which you can add to him, I think he's absolutely worthwhile. Look, if you're running Steph Curry as your coach and you have a 3-point shoe on him, it puts him around 79 3-pointer plus a floor general out there. If you have a half floor general guy, puts him in the 80s. He can definitely stroke threes. He's an incredibly solid interior presence. My opinion on Moses Malone is if you do not have enough MT to purchase David Robinson, Moses Malone is one of the only solid interior defenders that can handle David Robinson on a consistent basis. Him and the number 10 guy on this list. Moses Malone also has a really easy to time jump shot. Plus, look at this guy. Look at that mustache. I obviously am a fan of guys with mustaches. Not in that way. All right, let's get to the list. Number 10, Nate Thunder Thurman. Look, Nate Thurman, I think definitely he belongs here. The NBA 75 one is the one I would definitely go for because A, he has more badges in general, than Moses Malone, but B, you can add whatever badge you want to the NBA 75 one. He's not that much different in price than the primetime one. But Nate Thurman is 6'11", so he's about the same size as Moses Malone, but he is significantly faster. He's got a 74 ball handle, so you can attack the rim with him way, way better than Moses Malone. The 63 pointer is kind of trash, but if you add a 3-point shoe, you have a floor general, and you have like Steph Curry or a different 7 seconds or perimeter centric coach out there, you can get him up to the high 60s, low 70s, and with his release, it's definitely incredibly greenable. He has a significantly better release than Moses Malone. More importantly, though, he's a better interior player. He blocks more. He's 87 speed. He's the fastest center in this game. Only a 79 speed with ball, but once again, you throw a shoe out there, he's going to be cooking. Badge-wise, he's got rim protector, intimidator, posterizer, rebound chaser, pogo, grace under pressure. He's easily one of the best rebounding cards in this entire game. No question about it. Gold clamp standard as well. This card is no joke. He also has gold quick first step. I don't know if that's standard. I believe that is, though. If you're looking for an all-around center that's really, really solid, but you don't want him to focus too much on shooting, because at this point, we're still at the point in the game where majority of the affordable centers are either going to be a standard, big man like a Nate Thurman, or they're going to be a stretch big like a Vucevic that's not good inside. So having a guy like Thurman could be beneficial even if you don't run him in your actual lineup. Number 9. We got a newer card here, and I haven't seen a lot of people really talk about this card outside of DBG because obviously it is off range, but Drazen Petrovic. This card is extremely cheap. He's almost cheap enough to make the budget list, which is actually kind of crazy. You can get him for, at the absolute most, 27K, right? And Drazen is good. He's 6'5". He's not the greatest movement player. I don't know what I was trying to say right there, but he's not the greatest player in regards to dribbling or movement or anything like that. 65 driving dunk, 86 ball handle, so he can still hold it down, but 97 3-pointer, 85 perimeter defense is fine. 87 speed, 86 speed with ball is not terrible at this point. 89 lateral quickness. It's the badges for me, though. Hoff catch and shoot, Hoff blinders, Hoff limitless, Hoff sniper. This man does not miss. When it's a non-contested shot, it's very, very out of character for him to miss, even whites, especially if you're on current gen. Corner specialist is on gold too. He's got gold glue hands, comes standard with gold clamps, so he can play defense. He's got circus threes and chef too if you want to shoot movers with him. Set shooter, quick first step, anything in regards to shooting he'll be able to handle. He also has unpluckable too, so he can kind of dribble a little bit, and unstrippable. Ankle braces, so he's not going to get crossed and sent into a spiral like a lot of guys will. As far as badges too, he's pretty well stocked. Maybe you want to add pickpocket to him, or interceptor, intimidator is always a good idea, but you don't really need to add anything specifically to this card. He's one of the most complete cards that you can grab out of the package and just use. So I would recommend picking up Drazen for sure. Number 8 is a card I've talked about so much, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. Anybody who watches this channel knows this card is really solid, and that's Isaiah Thomas, who apparently, never mind. I always forget how to spell Isaiah Thomas, dude. I really need to learn because of how much I actually talk about this card. Look, IT is great. I mean, you can get this card for like 30K. Like, he's definitely, I wouldn't say he's for sure the best point guard you can get at this price. But I mean, if he goes under 25, he absolutely is, which he looks like he is going under 25. IT is a monster. I mean, he's very, very well rounded. Out of the box, he's solid. He can dunk, he can shoot, he can facilitate, he can do a little bit of everything. If you're looking for a cheap do it all point guard, I don't think you can do better, to be honest. Number 7, Miles Turner. Once again, another card that I've talked about ad nauseum. Miles Turner is sick. He is, for some reason, I don't know what's going on next gen, but this card like out rebounds every card you put at it. Like, he out rebounds Mikan, he out rebounds Moses Malone. I'm not sure on David Robinson. I don't think anything can stop that monstrosity. This one has an additional Hoff badge for some reason. And it's like the same price. I don't know. Did they give him rim protector? Perhaps. I'm not sure what they gave him. So set shooter, corner specialist, clutch shooter. They gave him Hall of Fame clutch shooter. It's not the greatest thing in the world, but for 42K, it's not bad. He's probably the best big man you could buy at this particular price. Like, Moses Malone's around this price too, but the NBA 75 one isn't. I would say Miles Turner is the most complete big man you can buy at this price. He's a budget player's best friend. Number 6, a card I've been hyping for a while. I still haven't bought though, and that is Clyde Drexler. Drexler, definitely the NBA 75 version because they're around the same price. So the NBA 75 version can get every single badge, so you can customize them essentially to your liking. But he's one of the most well-rounded shooting guards in this game. This is a card that I was actually shocked to see a couple people running in the 250 qualifier, which was crazy. 6'7" at the 2 guard is big. Only T-Mac at this point I think is like bigger, right? 87 3-pointer with a really solid release, 98 driving dunk, even a decent 87 perimeter defense too, 94 speed. He's got a great stable of badges, including like limitless takeoff. With a 98 dunk, he's going to dunk over every single person in your way. Glue hands on gold, which is solid. Quick first step, deadeye sniper. Like, he's got a good stable of shooting badges, which is surprising. Silver clamps, silver interceptor, both upgradable, which I think is definitely something that makes him worthwhile. Corner specialist, he can play the small forward if you want to as well. I would give him like Dimer if you plan on running ball handle things with him. Intimidator is always helpful, obviously, but blinders and circus threes, limitless spot up, and chef, obviously things I would give him. Set shooter as well. You'd be surprised how important that badge is. Clutch shooter also. People always sleep on clutch shooter, I swear. It just boosts your shot percentage for the last like 2 minutes of like the fourth quarter and the half, I think. So like, it might do something. I'd have to look exactly what it does, but basically it just boosts your shot percentage in pivotal moments, essentially. So it's definitely more important than people think. Clyde's a monster, though. He's definitely worth picking up. Number 5 is a card I'm sure most people are going to be shocked to actually see on this list, and that's Pink Diamond Richard Jefferson. Now, he's one of the more expensive cards on this list, but people really sleep on this card in general. Like, 70K is a little bit expensive. He's about the same price as like Clyde Drexler, though. Drexler's a little bit cheaper. But Richard Jefferson is 6'7" at the small forward, which is totally acceptable price. 91 3-point shot, 95 driving dunk, 86 ball handle, which is fine, 80 pass accuracy. His perimeter and interior defense are acceptable enough. They're not great. 93 speed, 86 speed with ball. But Hoff catch and shoot, Hoff corner specialist. He also has fearless, posterizer, pose zone, fast twitch. Like, this card is so well-rounded. He even has like gold clamps, gold interceptor. Because he was a limited time card, I think a lot of people just didn't care because his price was too high. But now these under 100K, I would say he's absolutely worth a test drive at some point. If you're not liking the other small forward options that are available on the market and you're looking for something different, maybe try Richard Jefferson. He's actually pretty good, to be honest. Number 4 is a card I pretty much saw every single person who qualified running in some capacity, and that's Penny Hardaway. I'll be honest, I used this card. He was pretty solid. I mean, especially on next gen. Current gen, he seemed to get abused on defense a little too hard, but if you're on next gen, I legitimately think he might be one of the best point guards in the game, if not the best point guard in the game. He's definitely the best point guard under 50K in the game. I would say that for sure, offensively at least. Very well-rounded. There's a bunch of them with badge additions too, because people tried to qualify, didn't, and are liquidating their entire collection. So if you want to pick him up. Also, my man has, hold on. What does his arm say? Does that say part 2 heaven sent with a, with a cent sign. Penny, what are you doing, dude? I like how they chose Phoenix Penny. That's always fun. I barely remember him playing over there. But either way, he's just really well rounded. Also, he's 6'7" and plays point guard. Yeah, he's not going to be playing defense really that well. But if most people in this game run a zone anyway, like who cares? Like, go play unlimited above diamond tier and tell me you don't run into a off-ball zone every single game. So it really doesn't matter. Penny is great. He moves well. He can shoot the three if someone's slagging off of him. He can attack the rim on next gen. He'll basically post hook every single like point guard into oblivion, aside from maybe Jason Kidd and maybe John Wall. Like, that's about it. But Penny is a monster, man. Number 3 is a card I've talked about like way too many times as well, so I'm not going to go too in depth on this one. Everyone knows about this card. Andrei Kirilenko. Now, the masked version is actually inexplicably cheaper than the non-masked version, so you might as well grab the masked version at this point. AK is great. He's got base 29, really easy to time jump shot. He's not the greatest shooter in the world. You can't give him a lot of the shooting badges, but he at least has like gold blinders, Hall of Fame clamps, chase down artist, pogo, tireless. He does need some badge additions, certainly. I believe I gave mine quick first stab and limitless takeoff, which they're definitely helpful because Andrei Kirilenko is an incredibly good dunker. But I mean, he's well-rounded, and he's one of the best defensive wings in the entire game. You can do a lot worse, is what I'm saying. Number 2 is a card that I both love and despise at the same time, actually, which is kind of crazy. George Mikan. Look, it's probably better to grab the NBA 75 version. I feel like he will hold value a lot better than the glitch version. That's not like an unpopular opinion. Everyone pretty much understands that at this point, but I'm not saying he's going to go up too much crazy in price. I'm sure 2K will drop an NBA 75 super pack before the lock-ins even drop or right after they drop. So it'll crash the market on him specifically. But George Mikan, I have my issues. He is one of the most well-rounded centers in the game, period. I would say the only ones that are above or at his level would be, as far as being able to do a little bit of everything, would be D-Rob and Anthony Davis, because those guys can dribble a little bit too. You know what I mean? Like, KG is probably slightly better than George Mikan, but he can't dribble. You know what I mean? 95 standing dunk, 95 driving dunk. With an 83 point shot, I would recommend putting a 3-point shoe on him just to boost it up that little bit more. Giving him a ball handle shoe is also pretty helpful as well, and a speed shoe. Those are the only things I would really say he lacks in. But I mean, the badge count's great. Posterizer, downhill, limitless, grace under pressure. You do need to give him like corner specialist and some other shooting badges at the gold, clamps as well. But I mean, if you're looking for a budget sniping center that can also hold it down decently in the paint, George Mikan would be the guy for you. He can also dribble a little bit. The one thing I will say is this man misses so many whites. If you are not comfortable with his jump shot and you white, I would say, 80% of the shots, which is nothing to be ashamed of. I do that with plenty of cards. You know what I mean? Maybe George Mikan is not the guy for you. Maybe go with someone like a Miles Turner, because Miles Turner has like a decent white percentage. George Mikan will sell a bunch of whites at the most inopportune moments. Wait, is this one holographic? It is. Might have to cop that. That's what I will say about him. Other than that, he's great. Number 1 is a card you pretty much saw on every single qualifying team. Literally, every single one. I wish it was James Boudnight. I really do. Diamond James Harden. NBA 75 James Harden. I watched a James Harden sell for 600,000 MT yesterday. Yes, that did happen because somebody put a bunch of Hoff badges on him. He sold for like literally 600K, which I thought was absurd. James Harden, I don't know what they did to him. I don't know what exactly makes this occur, but nobody makes more contested 3-point shots than this stupid James Harden card. This dude will miss more wide open whites than he will miss contested whites, and I'm not even kidding. You think I'm joking? That's not. He basically at some point has some version of like a steady shooter from 2K20 or 2K21. Steady shooter was pretty bad, but I think 2K20 steady shooter was actually the worst. You missed so many whites with steady shooter back in 2K20. So I would say, yeah, he has some version of steady shooter. Like, that's just my guess. And maybe it's Deadeye. I don't know what it is. I think it has a lot to do with lucky number 7 too. The Hall of Fame lucky number 7 is incredibly important, that basically gives you an absurd boost if you shoot within the first, like, I think it's like 7 to 10 seconds of a shot clock, which if you're someone who's a dribble god, you probably will. Or if you run screens. But he is the most well-rounded card in this game that you can buy for under 100K. This dude can do everything. If he played point guard, it would just be ridiculous. But at the shooting guard position, I think he is like one of the best shooting guards in the game at this point, which is crazy. I can't remember the last time we saw Harden like that. Like, I really cannot. Like, glitched Harden was pretty good when he came out last year in 2K21. Last time we saw a Harden that was like leaps and bounds better than every card in the game was like the Sapphire from like what, 2K15. I think that free one that everyone got that wasn't supposed to be free, that was probably the last time we saw Harden this dominant in regards to like the game. I don't know. As always, it's been your boy Cheap Ludes. Let me know in the comments if this helped you at all. I will be dropping a budget list as well. Look, you don't need to purchase any of these cards. You don't. But if you're somebody who has a bunch of MT and you're looking to upgrade your team, but you don't want to like break the bank or whatever, this is a good list for you. I wouldn't go buy all these cards and try to take it to the unlimited streets. And the reason I say that is I am a staunch proponent of just not playing unlimited. At this point, like, I'm probably the only content creator that's not going to get Gary Payton. And it is just, it's not worth my time at this point. Knowing 2K, they're going to release a better point guard in the token market, like the beginning of season 3. So I'm going to go and grind for Gary Payton for no reason. I don't know what's happening in Unlimited, but I will literally go 6-0 or 6-1. I think the lowest I've gone in the 3 times I've tried Pink Diamond here was 6-2, right? And that was once. And I think I went 6-0 and then 6-1, right? And then once I hit that 7th game or that 8th game, like once I go into like 6-2, basically once I get 6 wins, essentially, is when everything will fall apart. I will get matched up with God Squad after God Squad, and I will lose. Not every single game I'll win like 1 or 2, but I'll get to 8 or 9 wins every time and have to reset. And honestly, this is not good for my mental health. I'm done. You guys can probably notice a difference when I'm streaming and stuff. But anyways, have a good day. Enjoy some football, some mids, hang out. And then I'll be back with the budget card list later. Hope this helped out. Peace. Subscribe to the channel.